There's a truth-telling style we all have, or, you know, as Michael says, whether or not consciously you know it, your subconscious is clued into what's right or wrong or what's truthful.
Chris Hemsworth is very ambitious in a really good way, has a strong artistic ego. He invites risk. I love working with people like that. The premise of the story was that Hathaway is doing his 4th year of a 13-year prison sentence. This is his big chance to regain freedom if he can identify and stop a cybercriminal network operating somewhere in the world.
If we want clues to the hacker's identity, we need a man named Hathaway.
What do we know about this guy?
He's a convicted hacker, genius coder.
I took Chris to Statesville prison. It was a fascinating experience for him to try and get some sense of what his life would have been inside for 4 years.
You immediately kind of go, wow, this is a whole nother world here. Its own set of rules and an incredibly intimidating and scary place. I've never had that kind of extensive background given to me like that. It was hugely helpful. You never know how many takes we're gonna do. And when you start to do a lot of takes, you think, okay, what am I doing wrong? And then you kind of get to a place where you don't know where the scene's going. Watching the interrogation scene, I was watching it going, I don't remember this take. I don't know where this is headed.
I used it to call Santa in the North Pole and told him to do Christmas early this year.
There's a freedom to it. You just sort of let go because you have to. It becomes a lot more honest.
Chris, he responds to challenge. He's physical in his life, both as a surfer and a kickboxer. Ready, set, and action! There was something adventurous, the freedom that he feels to navigate his own course, forging his own path through the world. And I felt that I'm sitting with this guy, and I'm sitting with Hathaway.
We're in.
You locate this guy, you're okay. You get discovered, you're dead meat. You know that, don't you?
At a critical moment, Hathaway has to do a huge roll of the dice. He becomes a hunter, and at the same time, he's being hunted. And that's the situation that he and Tang Wei find themselves in for the working out of their fate and the very aggressive, lethal hunt that they're engaged in.
He's about to walk into a battle with professional killers. And Michael really wanted to emphasize that we were the underdogs. And there we are, having a screwdriver and a grinder and sanding the thing down to make it into a weapon. He's been wrapping magazines around his stomach. And a lot of it was stuff that's pulled from prison. How guys prepare if there's going to be some kind of fight.
She became a warrior, soldier, with Hathaway together, fighting together, shoulder by shoulder.
At the center of it, it's this love story from people who couldn't be further apart from their experiences and the worlds they grew up in. It's all about if I can get close enough, fast enough. That love scene is a far more intimate and deeper understanding of how these two felt about each other. I'd never heard anyone articulate a sex scene to me before, but the backstory to what that moment meant for Michael was incredibly insightful, and immediately we went, oh wow, this is really the turning point for both of them. Their love for each other allows him to be his absolute best and vice versa with her. Without that, it's another chase movie, and I mean, it's much more than that. And now we're here, but up until that final bit, yeah, I gotta be a little more proactive. It's certainly the most prep and work I've done, but hugely beneficial. I'm circling, going, I don't think who's around him, trying to. As soon as I'm flat-footed, I'm a still target. It made me think about how I have prepped in the past and will in the future. And before you know it, it affects you in some way, and you start to move differently. And it's that extra bit of confidence that I know who this guy is. I'm not trying to fake it. it becomes a part of you or you become a part of it. So it was a huge learning curve for me.